Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back on our Fortnite video, and in today's video I'm gonna give you guys some tips and tricks when it comes to editing. It's really gonna help you guys out. This is something that I haven't talked about in a really long time, and it's also one of the most effective tips when it comes to editing, and everybody should learn this if they want to improve at editing, and I promise it's gonna help you guys out a ton. So make sure you guys stay to the end of this video. And before we get into the video, I have a V-Buck giveaway. If you guys want a chance to win some free V-Bucks, all you need to do is to drop a like on this video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on my notifications, and leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And as well, make sure you guys have me supported as a creator on the item shop. All you need to do this is go to the item shop, hit X, type in Young Humor. That's all you have to do, and you will have me added and supported as a creator. And alright guys, let's go right to the video. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about editing and give you guys a couple tricks when it comes to editing that's really going to help you guys out when it comes to editing and just improve the speed at which you edit. So when it comes to editing, and editing is one of those things in Fortnite that I noticed that gets even more difficult, and it gets really hard the higher your ping is. And I'm not even gonna lie, the difference between a 20 ping, which is the ping I normally play on, I would say I play on normally like a 20 to 30 ping, but if I'm having one of those days or one of those games where the servers are a little bit laggy and I'm playing on a little bit higher ping, and I mean, it doesn't even have to be that drastic, it doesn't all have to be on like 150 ping. I mean, even just from like a 20 or 30 all the way to like a 40 or 50, that is a huge difference in ping, and you're really gonna notice it when you edit. And when it comes to ping, and yes, it does affect, how delayed your weapons are, but I would say when your ping rises, editing is one of those things that is the most noticeable thing. Building isn't too bad, I don't really notice it too much, but when it comes to editing, I can really notice the delay the higher the ping is. So that's just something to keep in mind. And when you're practicing in playgrounds like I am, I'm constantly, when I play in playgrounds, I'm a lot lower on ping. I'm like usually at like a 10 or maybe even a 15 at most. And then when I go into games, I'm at a high 20 or maybe even 30. That really does change a whole lot. So that's something to keep in mind when you're going into your games, is just seeing what your ping is, because your ping is going to have a huge difference on how fast you can edit. And I could edit the exact same way I am on 12 ping and I am on 30 ping, and when I'm in game on that 30 ping, I'm not going to be able to finish my edits because now everything's going to be a little delayed. So I know it could be a little bit different for you guys, but when I noticed that huge difference, I noticed the lag on it when I'd say I would get into the mid 30s. That's when I really start to notice the delay on editing, because I'm kind of used to a 20 ping. But it really isn't that much of a difference, but when you're in game, that is definitely something to notice, because when your ping is a little bit higher, then you definitely want to slow it down a little bit, because if you don't slow it down, then you're just going to be cucking through your builds. And that also leads me to my next point when I talk about editing, and it's one of the big mistakes that people make. It's not even about how fast they can edit, is if they're editing a ton and they're making a constant mistakes, it's even worse, because it really doesn't matter how fast you can edit as long as you're really efficient with it. So when you're playing that solo game, you're in that public match and you need to go for an edit play, and it could be as a situation as you're getting sprayed at, and maybe you need to edit out the side of your wall, or you're going to get absolutely clobbered by their SMG, and you go for the edit, and it's happened to all of us. It's certainly happened to me. I try to go for the edit and I edit way too quickly, and when I go for the edit, I completely whiff the edit, and then I get screwed over. And it's not even that I just missed the edit once, I'll probably end up missing it like 2 or 3 times, and to the point where I just pretty much give up on even going for the edit. So I really think it's even more important, because in the same exact situation, I could have edited it way slower, but if I would have edited it slower and I would have actually gotten the edit, it would have been way more effective than just trying to go for a speed edit and then completely messing it up. So I think that's really important when it comes to editing, is just making sure you get the edits, and a lot of the times it really doesn't matter to that split second. So as long as you get the edit off, you're going to be good. So I would definitely start practicing on efficiency on editing, rather than a bunch of high building sense and then just flicking everything. It's not going to work as good. So I would say one of the most common edits that people mess up is when they're editing the floor and they're editing the pyramid, because when you're editing these both, it's really difficult to get them both off, and for the reason is it can be a little bit more difficult because you have to edit it quickly, because if you don't edit it quickly, then you're going to get stuck on the pyramid edit. Because when you're going for the edits, you have to pretty much be already on that ramp, or maybe a little bit up to even go for the edit. So when you're going for the edit on this, you have to be really quick about it. but there is a little trick and a little shortcut that I want to show you guys when it comes to going for this edit that's really going to help you guys out. And I touched on it in a video that I probably did a few months ago, so a lot of you guys haven't seen it before. But when it comes to going for this edit, and as you guys can see right here, there's a better way to go for it than just going straight up, because when you're going for the edit and you go straight up, that's going to be the shortest amount of time. But if you look, as you can see how I'm running forward and then how I'm running to the side, is when I'm running to the side, as you can see, it's actually buying me more time. And when you're running to the side, when it comes to an edit like this, where you have to get the edits off very quickly if you want it to work, if you slow down your running a little bit, and you don't want to stop completely, because then that's really going to kill your momentum. But if you make it so you run a little bit diagonal or you run to the side a little bit, it's going to buy you even more time and allow that edit to get off earlier. So long story short, if you run straight up your ramp, that's going to be the fastest way to get up. But if you're struggling with this edit in game, or you need to buy yourself a little bit more time, if you run from a diagonal direction or you run from a little bit of a slant, it's going to slow you down just slightly, which is going to make it even easier to get that off that edit. And it's a lot better than stopping completely, because when you go to sprint in this game, there is a little bit thing of momentum. So basically, when you want to go for a sprint in this game, it takes about a second or two just to even start sprinting. So when you're standing still and you want to go for a sprint, it's going to take about a second, because you're going to start off jogging and then eventually it's going to turn into a sprint. So instead of just going straight up and then stopping and then trying to go for the edit, if you run from that diagonal direction, you're going to keep the same momentum, and it's only going to slow you down a little bit. And in game, that little bit of a difference really isn't going to make too much. So it's going to be even more efficient for you guys to go for an edit that may be slightly slower. It's really not even that big of a difference. Most people in public matches aren't going to be, top tier builders, or even if you're fighting against a really good player, a lot of the times when they're building, they're eventually going to mess up. But if you slow yourself down a little bit and you make sure you get your edits right, it's going to save you a ton and you're not going to mess up as much. So that would definitely be one of my best tips when it comes to editing. It's really important that you focus on not trying to mess up as much. But of course, when you're practicing, I'd always try to practice, editing as fast as you can. But when it comes to actual games, then of course you want to just focus on making your edits more efficient and also more accurate. So there's also something else that I wanted to talk about. And when it comes to going for high ground, what most people do is when they're ramping up, they're going to ramp up and then they're going to place a stairs and then they're going to place a pyramid on top of them. And the reason they place the pyramid is try to protect from people being above you. And that's really, really effective in most situations. But there is some situations that I want to talk about when it involves the floor panel. And most people aren't using floor panels when they ramp up just because it's not really used as much. But I want to show you guys a few situations in which you would want to use it and why it's also not that bad of an idea when it comes to using it. So basically, the reason why most people are using pyramids is because you can place the pyramids earlier. And then if you're just ramping up a single layer ramp rush and you place a pyramid, after you edit the pyramid, it's going to break off entirely, which is very nice. And with the floor panels, once you edit one of the corners, it doesn't break at all. So honestly, it depends on the situation, but when it comes to editing with that, there's a few things that you can do when it comes to editing with the floors. Because it doesn't break, it can offer you a pretty good layer of protection, especially from fire that comes from above you. Because once you go for the floor edit, there's only going to be one possible area that they can shoot you from. And of course, when it comes to ramping up, there's always going to be that possible chance that they can hit you. There's pretty much nothing in this game that you can do to prevent yourself from getting hit when you're ramp rushing up, especially in a player who's already on high ground just spraying down at you. But there is a lot of things you can do to prevent yourself or give you the best chance of ramping up without getting hit at all. And one other thing that might be even better to use floor panels in some cases is, say you're ramping up and like I said, it's going to break if you're using the pyramid and then you edit the pyramid, it's going to break immediately, but that's only going to break if it's connected to something. So say you're ramping up and you're ramping up right next to another player structure. So if you go for a pyramid edit, unless you edit the top two squares to make it a ramp, what's going to happen is you're going to edit one of the squares, but once you edit one of the squares, the pyramid is going to stay like that. And that could be bad for a few reasons, and one of the reasons might be when you're going for the edit, and so after it edits halfway, if you're trying to run straight, unless you're all the way on the opposite side, you're either going to have to crouch or you're going to have to go around that build, so it can mess you up pretty badly if you're just trying to keep ramping up. But if you have a floor panel and it's already connected, once you go for the edit on the floor panel, you already know where the floor panel is going to be, and it's not going to mess you up in any sort of way. So that's just something to keep in mind when it comes to going for those different type of edits. And also, it's another nice thing to do when I go for the floor edit is as soon as I go for the floor edit, I'll do a 180, and then off the 180 I'll put up walls, so if someone's above me, I can easily get up, and then I can put my walls up, which is going to make it hard for the other player to shoot at me. And then from there, I can either decide if I want to keep ramp rushing up or if I want to drop down to the bottom. Either way, in some situations, using the floor panel could be even more effective than the pyramid. And with that being said, that's a wrap up for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys liked it. And if you guys could, drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on my notifications to be notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.